Hapkido isn't the most popular martial art in the world, but it is well respected for its benefits by those who practice it. However, there are a number of outsiders who criticize it and don't give it the same credit. For the sake of this video, I will group this art with Aikido, which is a very similar Japanese style, and was in fact one of the main influences for the creator of Hapkido, Choi Young-sul. In Hapkido, a lot of emphasis is placed on self-defense techniques, and a good portion of class time is usually dedicated to perfecting these at most dojangs. But some critics from other arts like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or MMA would say that the techniques in Hapkido and Aikido aren't very practical. In general, there's not a lot of striking involved in Hapkido like you would see in the MMA, for example. There's also not a lot of groundwork like you have in Jiu-Jitsu. On top of that, you don't practice forms at most schools, so you don't have many competitions other than a few wrestling-style tournaments with submissions. And even then, these are few and far between, since Hapkido is not really a competitive style. This might explain partially why the art isn't highly popular, but why is it worth it for the people who do practice it? I think most of this is generated from a misunderstanding. As I said in my Taekwondo video, these arts aren't meant to train you into an unbeatable fighter. We're not sending people to war or developing secret agents to fight in the streets. I think if your goal is to fight, and only that, you should try the MMA. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your intent, as long as you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, by all means, do what you enjoy. I do think Hapkido offers a lot of useful training on body leverage and energy flow that aid in self-defense, but it's not 100% comprehensive. I do think we could spend more time on ground techniques, because once an altercation goes south, the standing techniques you learned no longer matter. Wrist grab techniques are not realistic, but they are simply a basis for what you learn in Hapkido. As you advance, you learn that these techniques can be performed in variations from almost any position. I would argue that while the self-defense you learn may not be the most practical, there are a few basic locks and submissions we do that are great for diffusing situations without injury, and it's quite fun to flow through some of the techniques that end in rolls and flips. But I think the draw in Hapkido is what it offers in addition to the combat. Hapkido, in my opinion, is best known for its wide benefits in breathing and long-term health. The circular breathing, or danjon breathing, that we teach is revolutionary, and I wish more people knew about it. Not receiving repeated head injuries over the years is an added bonus as well. In Hapkido, we spend a lot of time in meditation in conjunction with our breathing, as we work on ourselves mentally. Some may boast their fighting records or achievements, but I think it's nicer to have never had to use the self-defense you learned, which is the case for most practitioners. This is what makes the auxiliary benefits that much more important. The stigma that I want to remove is that the purpose of a martial artist shouldn't be, how can I use this negatively against my opponents, but rather, how can I use this positively for myself and for those around me? Go back 10 seconds and listen to that again. For me, it's not about winning a fight or even preventing a fight. It's about never even being in a situation to have to do either of those. Sure, you can't control everything, and you may need to rely on your physical skills someday, but there are steps you can actively take to minimize those chances by the people you associate with, the places you go, etc. I think our different interests as humans are what keeps life interesting. So as long as someone else's interests aren't harming anyone or anything, it's best to let them enjoy it. Thanks for watching.